With that, Jimmy, I thought that we should have a little fun here.
Oh, boy.
I want you to think. Not hard, but I want you to give me some reaction. So, There were 12 quarterbacks that were new starting this season. Mm-hmm. There was a change of 12 quarterbacks. That's crazy. 12 quarterbacks 12 on new teams. Ridiculous. So I want you to tell me one word. We're going to play one word. One word.
Okay.
Your thoughts on the performance of each of these 12 quarterbacks.
Okay.
But I'm going to add one more. It's going to be 13. Since Jalen Hurts now is the starting quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles, and it's definitely, we have no controversy. We're going to start with him. He'll be the 13th one, but he'll start at number 1. Jimmy, give me one word about Jalen Hurts.
Composed.
Okay. Give me a sentence to back up your thinking.
Jalen Hurts looked as composed running an offense as he generally did in Alabama and Oklahoma.
That's a good point. He really did look like he had command. I watched one play and I was like, okay.
Like there he is. There he is.
That's what I saw at Alabama that I told people to watch out for. That's a good one.
Okay.
All right. Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Shit.
That's a good one.
No, a big part of the reason why is because I had him in multiple DraftKings lineups. God, I hope my mother didn't hear that part.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Yeah. Ryan let's see.
You'll do a complete sentence. Just tell me why. Back up your why you feel that way about it.
I mean, you don't expect it to happen like this. Yeah, you knew ultimately Taylor Heineke was going to come in as a starter, but you thought it was going to be after 4 or 5 games of magic where he just dazzled us and where he gave the football team a version of the kind of quarterback, like how they're a quarterback away, given that defense and the skill position players.
Right.
But now we aren't going to see that for 6 to 8 weeks, even though I think Heineke's a pretty good backup. But it's so Washington football team.
So Washington. All right, here's your next one. You ready for this one?
I hope so.
Tyrod Taylor.
Okay. Again, and another one of those, like how I talked about Houston as far as all the crap he had to listen to all offseason. And in a lot of ways, Tyrod Taylor's like the most unlucky quarterback that we've seen in a long time. I mean, we know that he's a pretty good quarterback. We know that he can run an offense. We know that he's mature, but it's just like something always goes wrong no matter where he is, or he knows that it's only a matter of time before he gets yanked, even if he makes the playoffs, out of his starting spot for the guy that they really want in there. Yep. So in this, I don't think he's in that kind of a situation. I should have said comfortable. He looked comfortable. He looked like, for the first time, knowing that he's going to be the starter, or at least he doesn't have a guy behind him that he knows they're looking to replace him with, especially since they're trying to figure out their Deshaun Watson situation.
Yep.
But I was really surprised to see that he had one of the best performances this weekend.
He did.
Quarterbacks.
Like 291 or something like that.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Looking good. Okay. Yeah. Sam Darnold.
Finally, you are with a team with more skill position players who can probably make you look better than what you actually are. I've always thought Darnold was going to be a good quarterback. I never thought he was going to be really good or great, but with the kind of skill position he has around him on offense, I think that's going to elevate the way he looks, even though he, to me, is still just a good quarterback, but that's really all they need, I think, in this offense.
Yeah.
But what really surprised me about this is the defense, and I think you remember right before the season started, I said this young Panthers defense, they're going to be a lot better than people think. Now, of course, you're playing the Jets. I get all that, but they still looked like they have the makings of being a pretty dominant unit in about 2 or 3 years when these young players really get more seasoned. So I really like what I saw. I was actually going to text Silk to see what he thought about his boy. So he's got to be feeling pretty good today.
I got to hit him up on that one, the walk-in strong opinion on that one. Okay. Teddy Bridgewater.
But my first word was helmet. He's got this thing. Why does it seem like Teddy Bridgewater's helmet is like, like that movie Little Giants, where it's just like the helmet is just like way bigger than the rest of his,
like in Spaceballs. Yeah. The Darth Vader
Lord helmet, Teddy, Lord Bridgewater. But yeah, no. Outside of that, expected. This was a very Teddy Bridgewater-like performance, even though I saw him go down the field a little bit more than I'm used to seeing him. And that's the one thing, if he can do that, Teddy, because I know, he's the reason why people see him more as a game manager is because, he checks down a lot. He hits a lot of the underneath stuff, short routes, and that's fine. But if he ever got comfortable with adding that to his game, where 1 to 2, 3 times he takes that shot and completes it because he is accurate, then that would really elevate him from being pretty good or good to potentially really good, and let him get 2 or 3 seasons in this offense without having to keep moving around. Let him be the guy. He beat out Drew Lock. Let him be the guy. So I was in a sense, expected to see that.
I can dig
outside of the unexpected, him throwing the ball down the field more. So that was good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jared Goff.
Jared Goff, that's a toughie. Trying to find the right word. That's dang. Of all the ones to really stump me, that's the one. Jared Goff, I'm gonna say doubt it. As in all offseason, one of the most just crapped on and doubted quarterbacks. And there were moments in that first half where he looked like the Jared Goff that Sean McVay traded away. But then in that second half, and that's what I talked about, the fight in this team, a big part of it had to do with him. He looked pretty good. He looked like he didn't quit. He didn't get down on himself. One mistake didn't turn into 2, 3, or 4 in the little Phillip Rivers syndrome. Mm-hmm. And I think he had over 300 passing yards, right?
338 yards.
338 yards.
3 touchdowns.
3 touchdowns. I thought it was 2. 3 touchdowns.
He threw it 57 times, too. Good God.
You don't want that.
No.
You don't want. But even in a loss against a team that was clearly better than them, I really like what I saw from Jared Goff.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Next up, Carson Wentz. I know, right? It's one of those.
Carson Wentz, I'm going to say healthy. At least, even though you lost by 12, at least you were healthy by the end of the game. And that's something to feel good about in the world of Carson Wentz. And I think he was pretty decent too, north of 200 yards, couple of touchdowns.
Yeah, like 260.
Yeah, I mean, you're playing a better team. You're playing a quarterback who's
251.
251. Yeah, quarterback who's much better than you. So his goal, and I say this often when you have a quarterback who's got a really bad injury history or is coming off of a bad injury, I don't care how many touchdowns you have at the end of the game or interceptions or passing yards. Where is your health? Is your health intact at the end of the game? Cool, victory.
Okay. Trevor Lawrence.
Oh, I should not use this term, especially as someone who works in mental health, but I'm going to use it anyway. Please forgive me. I'm going to say bipolar.
Ooh,
because he had some really bad, some really good, but it's what you want to see, it's what you expect. Everything he did in that game was interesting. Everything he did in that game was entertaining to watch that. And this is what I like about watching young quarterbacks is you get to see the beginning of the progression. And typically what you see is you see a lot of bad and you see a lot of good. So you see flashes of what they could be, and then you see flashes of what they can be also if they don't put in the time, the work, don't have the right coaches, etc. So I really liked this performance from Trevor Lawrence. This is what you want because the Jags know that they're not going to the playoffs. I hope Urban Meyer doesn't think that, but they're not going, especially since this is going to be his only season as their coach anyway before he goes to USC. But you want to see that. You want him to make all these mistakes. You want him to make this season. You want him to get these out of him because he's seeing coverages. He's seeing a game speed that he's never seen before. So this is to be expected. But, I will take the higher end, the fun side of his bipolar by looking at the 3 touchdowns and the 300-plus passing yards.
Okay, so we're going to jump into 2 guys in back-to-back games. We're going to first start off with your boy, Andy Dalton.
Move out of the quarterback spot. Move out of Chicago. You got your chance. And unfortunately, you were one of the ones who wasn't motivated enough by the doubters in the offseason because exactly what we thought we were going to see out of you, quarterbacking a lifeless team where you have no second move, no curveball. That's exactly what we saw. The only time this offense was electric was for the few plays that Justin Fields got in there.
Yeah.
Right?
He ran, 3 plays, it looks like?
Yeah. I mean, the game was, 34-13 or something like that?
14, yeah.
The Rams are better than them, but they're not that much better than the Bears. They're really not.
Bears defense should be something a little bit more vicious than this.
Well, they didn't know. They have no game film of L.A. Rams, Matthew Stafford, so they were at a bit of a disadvantage.
That's true.
But I think that when you have to just keep getting on the field because Andy Dalton can't move the ball, that wears on you. It wears on you physically. It wears on you mentally, emotionally. So I mean, you can't just squash this loss as nothing for the Bears, but Andy Dalton is the problem. We knew he would be. He just needs to get out of the way and just tutor the young fella.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. And Khalil Mack is making me look bad. Aaron Donald had like 3 tackles, a sack, tackle for a loss, and Khalil Mack had like 1 tackle, and that's really
Come
it.
on, Khalil.
Well, I'll look it up the hurries and stuff later on the advanced numbers. But same game, Matthew Stafford.
MVP, baby.
I knew he was going to say
Let's
MVP. Better give me that MVP.
I mean, like, and again, this is kind of crapping on Jared Goff a little bit. The same thing he dealt with in the offseason, but just the deep throws that he hit. That's a big part of what this offense was missing, and he does it comfortably.
Jimmy, 12 yards per pass.
12 yards per pass. Almost as much as
20 for 26, 321.
20 for 26?
Yes.
This is it. I mean, he's never had this kind of a defense behind him. He's
no
never had an
excuse.
offensive head coach like this. He's never had. I know the run game could be better. If they had Cam Akers, it'd be so much better. But this set of receivers that he has, even Tyler Higbee was eating. I mean, this is exact in LA. Finally getting the respect you deserve. I know it's just week 1, but this is exactly what Matthew Stafford has wanted his entire career, and now he's got it.
Yep. All right. Let's help 2 rookies. Mac Jones.
Mac Jones, clinical. He was clinical. He was efficient.
Clinical.
Yeah, no turnovers, which is exactly what you want in a rookie quarterback. One of the things you want in a rookie quarterback. I mean, like with a rookie, just like I was talking about with Trevor Lawrence, if he's got that kind of talent and he's got a little bit of Favre in him where he's going to take chances, okay, you can deal with the picks as long as you get some touchdowns on the other side of it. With Mac Jones, he's not that kind of quarterback. He's very Tom Brady. He's Tom Brady-esque, as we've talked about, in the sense of being clinical, efficient, make the right read, and he did that. I mean, yes, the Dolphins beat him by 1, and they are about 1 point better than them right now.
That's a good point.
But he was clinical. He was exactly what you would expect to see out of Mac Jones. So I think the coaching staff, even though they lost, is probably happy with what they saw.
I agree.
He didn't beat the team.
Right. Yeah, he didn't lose the game for
right.
them.
And the Dolphins are a real defense.
Yeah, no. Forrest has been doing a phenomenal job of building that defense. So yeah, he didn't lose the game for them, which is the thing you have to give him mad props for. Zach Wilson.
Maverick. He's got a bit of that Brett Favre sort of maverick off-platform throw in him. You could already see in that game that he's eventually going to be the quarterback that the Jets have been needing, since the 60s, since Namath. But he looked – I like what I saw. I think they had 14, so 2 touchdown passes, right? Those 2 touchdowns that he threw were those types of throws where he had to extend the play, and he's going to have to, especially now that he's lost his left tackle for 4 to 6 weeks in Mekhi Becton, unfortunately. But, he's got that maverick in him, and that's what people liked about him. That's a big part of the reason why at number 2 he was taken over, a Heisman Trophy candidate, Mac Jones, who had like 77% completion percentage, is because he can do that. Same with Trey Lance. That's your curveball. You need a guy who can extend plays like that. Mahomes does it. Wilson does it. Brady doesn't have to, but he's Tom Brady. He doesn't count. He's in another stratosphere. You need guys who can do that, especially like you said earlier when you have linebackers and defensive linemen who are just as fast as your quarterback.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Last one of the week.
All right.
Jameis Winston.
Jameis Winston. I know, right? Jameis, finally, we see. I mean, he had games in Tampa where he, had a lot of touchdown passes, especially the season where that 5,000-yard season a couple of years ago where he had all the interceptions, but he had over 30 touchdown passes. Yeah, 30
interceptions. Yeah,
but finally in the sense that we see a game from Jameis Winston where he looked mature. Like the decisions that he made, they were like mature quarterback decisions on the field. Nothing to beat yourself, nothing to beat the team, and I mean it's a testament to the team around him. It's a testament to that defense, like you talked about, that just gave him just field position that a quarterback, you can't get better than that with the field position he was given, as well as, and I think this helps him too. Yeah, you have a superstar in Alvin Kamara, but when you have a set of receivers minus Michael Thomas that nobody knows and your favorite receiver has to become the open guy, your job as a quarterback is a lot easier because you're not locking in on this diva to give him, not Michael Thomas, but just a diva to give him his 10 targets a game so he can do his chip and dip commercials, Jay.
Yeah.
So finally we see a mature Jameis Winston at the quarterback position. He's got to keep that up. Got to keep that up.
I agree 100%.